I'm here to tell you the truth, and what you're doing is not good enough. I completely understand why nobody's picking up the phone and calling you. If you speak into existence the type of people that you love helping and how you help, you're going to get more of those people. I truly believe that. You got to figure out something that you're the least bad at and go and start there, right? You know, if you don't like being in front of a camera, which I think is a hang up for a lot of people, I think the easiest thing to do is to write.
The only reason my newsletter is as basic as it is because it wouldn't have gotten done if it wasn't. GTC 32, welcome. We are in our first week of the NBA playoffs, which has been more exciting than even several years past. So I'm excited about this season with the parity throughout the league. We'll hopefully get to some of that later on. But Nick, welcome. How are things?
Man, life is great. So happy to be here with you today and excited to get into GTC 32.
All right. Do you want to drive and kick things off? What do you have, or do you want me to get going?
I'll ask you a question to get going, and this will almost be like a live little behind the scenes into Know My Plan, I think. So I have fallen in love with your newsletter, which comes out Sunday evening. It is so clean. I love the way that it's written. So for those who aren't signed up, if you're a financial advisor, you should definitely do so. I'm sure we can put the link in the show notes. No banners. You did put a picture in this one. Generally, no pictures. So my question to you is, it's so darn consumable. Should I change the structure of my newsletter? Should I strip out the banner? Should I strip out the graphics and just go straight text? So
I don't know
this
the
is
answer
like
to
live.
that.
You didn't know this question was coming, but this is kind of like the things that we talk about.
Yeah, this is fun. Like here's the honest truth of where I'm going with this is the only reason my newsletter is as basic as it is because it wouldn't have gotten done if it wasn't.
That's fair.
Now, that being said, I started to enjoy the idea of just giving people something that's raw and kind of simple because everything is so overdone these days that kind of played in the back of my head as I continued on with it. And I was like, oh, this is kind of neat. It's just to the point and it's like in and out.
No fluff.
Now, does that do me any good as far as like people can see different videos that I have or, there's some color breakup or something else going on? I don't know. Like you also messaged me the other night about like, should I see you're playing with this header on LinkedIn, or I see you've got this new link going on. Like, should I change mine? Should I do that? I change things up kind of every quarter, every 6 months, or I like to play with different things and see what works and what doesn't. That's part of maybe the business I'm in. So I don't know what's right or wrong. It's kind of me figuring out so that maybe I could help you guys even more. And that, not to bring this full circle, kind of plays into the post that I shared yesterday on LinkedIn, which was kind of like, I'm learning in real time with all of you. Like, I'm not pretending to be Nostradamus here and that I know everything. Like I'm some guru. It's like this thing evolves so fast, and the world we live in right now and the consumption and attention behavior is so dynamic and changing. I'm figuring it out with you guys. And I think that's actually cool because it keeps you guys that are clients of mine on the edge of kind of next. And like, you've got someone out there who's, not to pat myself on the back, but maybe breaking some of the icebergs ahead of you to show you maybe this works or this doesn't.
One of the things that I thought of is we have a lot of people that I think are just kind of like lurking on the background, or, they're on the 1 yard line. They're thinking about reaching out to you. And sometimes they might notice like, oh, that's different. That's new, right? He had his website there before, but now, under the bio line, there is a link to join the newsletter. What's that? Let me click that. So sometimes I think just making a few changes like that quarterly or whatever, something subtle like that, could be beneficial just to switch it up. So one of the things that I realized about myself, and you kind of referenced it there, and you referenced it in your post last night, and I think one of the videos that you put out, is just how we are consuming today, is evolving. I think how I personally consume is drastically different than it was 3 years ago.
Yeah, there's not a question there, but you're right.
So I tried to be a little bit introspective and be like, all right, what do I really like consume, and where am I when I'm doing it? So I thought about the time when I am willing to devote like real time to something really falls into one of three categories: time in the car, when I'm out walking in the neighborhood, or when I'm working out and I just want something other than music. So those are really, and for me, it's really two. It's the car and it's the walk time. And that's where I'm willing to hit the long YouTube video, or that's when I'm willing to listen to a podcast. And those are things that I really enjoy. Like I really enjoy listening to podcasts with people, that I feel like I like, know, and trust. So how I go full circle with that is like, what are these social media apps to me today, right? In 2025, I think it's almost awareness, because I really don't consume anything on LinkedIn, Facebook. That is just like I'm scrolling. Something might catch my eye for a second, and I'm just like, oh, okay. I didn't realize that Libby Greiwe had a podcast. Okay, well, let me just go ahead and let me just type in her into my Apple podcast, and now she'll come up. And when I'm scrolling through times to listen to a podcast, I'm like, oh, this is a 6-minute podcast. Let me check this out. So I almost think that the current social media landscape is almost nothing more than awareness that leads us to one of those other important things, such as a newsletter, a YouTube, a podcast, a website, because I'm too busy to consume in the moment that I'm on one of the apps. This is just like, I have 3 minutes, let me scroll. But where I actually have my time to consume, car, walk, workout. What are your thoughts, Corey?
I'm so on board with this. It's almost like, let's start coining some phrases here and have some fun with it. But it's almost like reminder content, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm on board. Like, yes, when I go for a walk, I 100% will dive into the hour-long podcast. And it's whoever is kind of most recently top of mind that's sitting there lingering. Like, I may have seen something last Thursday that was awesome. But if I catch something again this morning that's not them, someone different on a Tuesday walk, I'm going with the most recent, right? That's kind of that reminder content. I'm with you 100% on that.
It's the reminder media.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to consume you on my scroll feeds, but I see you there enough. I'm going to find you when I'm ready, when it's time for me to consume. And that's enormous. That all plays into everything though. Like, right. Like, this is why we build this foundation. This is why we have all the things, right? So often advisors are like, I don't know why we just don't focus here or focus there. I'm like, well, because not everybody is there all the time.
So I can think of 3 people. I'll go ahead and name them: Libby Greiwe, Tracy Jepson, Stacey Brown Randall, who have posted things on LinkedIn about their podcast in the past week. And I've consumed one of their podcasts in the past week. I can say with almost certainty that had I not seen their LinkedIn post to refresh my brain, remind me that they had a podcast, I would then not have gotten my phone on my walk and chosen one of their podcasts.
I can probably say that's 100% guaranteed, right?
So it's kind of like, had they not put out the LinkedIn message, I would have never gotten to the podcast. So if their only focus was on the podcast, but was not promoting it in the other channels that I'm on, I would have missed something that I would have otherwise enjoyed.
This is for all things though. Like, how many clients have you brought on that they didn't hire you because of the LinkedIn post, but the LinkedIn post reminded them of the newsletter, which reminded them of the video?
It's why it's all important, right?
Yeah,
it's why you can't just focus on one thing and expect it for most to just magically bring in clients.
And not to mention, like,
conversations.
I had a client call this morning before we jumped on here. Like, the days of we're a decade past it, but people are still playing this game. Like, the trite advertisement on social just doesn't do it anymore. Like, so, what I mean by that is the language that everyone else in the world is using that ChatGPT generated for you. Like, it's just not moving the needle. It's about delivering the value in the mediums consistently in which people want to consume them. Yeah.
Make it easy for people, right? Don't make it hard.
Just be there and remind them. Reminder content. I love it. I love where you went with it.
Yeah. Where my mind is, it would be really hard for me to spend 12 minutes reading something on LinkedIn. Just being honest, because when I'm on LinkedIn, I'm generally on my phone.
But that's not, like, you don't have to disclose it, like, being honest. That's, the scroll platforms have trained us to behave that way on a scroll platform. It's like, you drive fast on the highway. You don't drive slow on the highway. Like,
exactly.
We're moving.
Right. Right. So use the platforms for what they are. It's kind of, I think the point of this, to maximize the platforms, realize how people are actually using them, realize how you use them.
Dude, I'm not here to shit on anybody. I haven't read one of those long posts in 3 years. My eyes go blurry when I hit more, and it's like, I'm like, whoa. Like you literally, there's a chapter there.
Right. It's the first chapter. It's the first chapter in someone's book.
Like, you've got to figure out how to give me half of the content in the digital image, first of all, so it's big and font 70.
Yeah. And I mean, I think you do a really good job in the way that you create your post. It's like 2 or 3 bullet points, spaced out nice, couple bullet points, in and out, quick thought, hammer it home.
I'm figuring it out too, but like at this, maybe there's folks out there like, oh my God, I love the way that person shares. And great. Maybe the 1,200 word post is for you. My newsletters aren't even 400 words.
Yeah. I mean, I'm completely willing to consume the long content when I'm in a place to consume the long content.
100%.
Right?
Yep.
But if I'm out walking, I'm probably not going to be reading a short story on my iPhone.
When I'm watching the NBA playoffs, scrolling LinkedIn at 10:30 at night, and I'm winding down, diving into long form social content,
not happening.
Probably not happening.
Yeah. What is an NBA timeout? 90 seconds, 2 minutes.
Yeah. Like, and right? I just want to zip through a few things.
Yeah, exactly. In and out. I got to get back to Jimmy Butler.
Yeah.
I'm not missing Jimmy buckets.
Yeah.
I don't care how good the post is or if it's about a topic that I'm super passionate about.
Yeah, it's gone. I'm moving.
I mean, I'm all in on the playoffs, which is
Reggie's back. I gotta.
Yeah. Reggie and Harlan are back in it. I got to be focused.
Yeah.
No, that's just I've just been thinking about how I consume, and I think it's a great reminder for me and for everybody is to maximize the work that we're doing and the people that we're trying to help. Make sure that you are creating the right content for the right platform.
I really appreciate the topic, right? Like, this has nothing to do with me at all, but I appreciate the introspective thought and you going down that road, because this thing does, Nick, just evolve so fast and constantly. Like, it's never static.
Yeah, and you've talked about it many times, is that I'm not competing against Edward Jones or Morgan Stanley advisors for attention. I'm competing with the advertisement for friends and neighbors from Apple Plus.
Competing against all this noise everywhere.
Yeah,
this stuff.
You're competing. When your kids are asking you to do something. I mean, you have all these competing priorities. And sometimes we think about like, oh, we have to be better than Morgan Stanley. Or we have to be better than Edward Jones. Like, well, that's really not the competition in the grand scheme of things.
The competition is literally could be Steph Curry, could literally be the Mick Ultra commercial that has Post Malone. Like, who? Like, I have no idea, but it's whatever's in front of you is what the competition is.
Exactly. Yeah. So bigger than just trying to compete for an SEO keyword or something, something like that.
Yeah.
Speaking about ads, my parents saw an ad for the movie Air, which is a personal favorite of both of ours. They thought it was like a brand new movie, wanted to know if I heard of it. It's like,
how did they see the ad? Like, what?
They just saw, like, I don't know, had to be like TNT or TBS that played it, like a rerun.
Oh, they've got the movie on cable now.
It's cable. So anyhow, my parents were like, oh, do you know this movie's coming out? I was like, Mom, I think it's like a commercial for like a show that's probably on right now. Yeah, I've watched it more times.
That guy, Sonny Vaccaro, is based on me.
Yeah, it's like, I've watched it more times than I'd care to admit. So anyhow, they watched it last night for the first time. They loved it. Art and Des and Nielsen approved. They're on board with Air. Great movie.
I like that.
But that's what we're competing against, right? We're competing against the 30-second ad that pops up.
And I love what you even said. Or one of the kids that wants to show you what they drew at school.
Exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Before you sneak in another
one, when you create your content, you may not want to put your long form stuff on LinkedIn. All I'm saying.
Yeah. I've got one for you. Right. Quick question. Well, hopefully a longer winded answer, but quick question. Part 1, advisors watching, you're not good at marketing. Nick, what do they do? Like, they've self-admitted, this just isn't my thing.
Other than hire you?
I don't know. I'm asking you, like.
Yeah, I would say step 1 is if you've been introspective and be like, hey, I'm not good at this. I don't know where to start. And I think whenever you're in that situation in any point of life, you immediately stop and you seek wise counsel. And then maybe what I would do is I would go to 2 or 3 people who you really enjoy their marketing and ask them, who do you use?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Right. I think I really enjoy what you're putting out. I understand why a consumer would choose you. I think that is step one. Assuming that they have done that, I would say step 2 would be to create a short list of maybe 5 to 10 of the people that you enjoy helping most, and then try to think about their attributes. What do they look like? Are they married? Are they single? Are they divorced? Are they young? Are they old? Do they have similar careers? And I think that is just, let's look for patterns among the 5 to 10 people who I enjoy helping the most. And then I think step 3 to that is, what questions do these people have? And 3B or 4 is, how am I uniquely skilled to solve and answer those questions? Like, I think if you do those 4 things, you're in pretty good shape.
Here's the awesome part of this is I think you set this up for part 2 of the question, because part 1 is, you said, go out and find things that you think are good and figure out how they got created. Let's say in my notes, it actually is, okay, I realize I'm not good at marketing. However, I can't quite afford help. Then what do I do?
Yeah. So I think that's 2 through 4 of what I just laid out, right? It's, who are my people that I love? It's kind of like the Venn diagram, right? Who are the people that I love? What are the questions that they have? How am I uniquely skilled to answer those questions? And then I think once you've done that, you can start to talk those words, talk those questions, those Q&As into existence. I think we drastically overcomplicate this, but hey, this is who we help. This is how we help them. These are the situations that we face. And I think, I truly believe that eagles hang with eagles, seagulls hang with seagulls. If you speak into existence the type of people that you love helping and how you help, you're going to get more of those people. I truly believe that.
I agree with that. How do the folks who self-admittedly say they're not good at marketing do that?
They got to figure out how to get good at marketing, because this business is largely marketing. I mean, we don't like to talk about that, but it is being able to communicate who we help. I think that you got to figure out something that you're the least bad at and go and start there, right? If you don't like being in front of a camera, which I think is a hang up for a lot of people, I think the easiest thing to do is to write. And if you don't like the social platforms for whatever reason, you already probably have a built-in network of people that like, know, and trust you, i.e. your clients and maybe centers of influence. Send out a short note and, do a little close at the end. If you can say it a number of different ways, but essentially if there are people that who think that could benefit from this message, I'm glad to help them. If they're important to you, they're important to me. I am glad to help anybody answer these questions that we're answering.
I'm just interested to know, like, folks reach out to you all the time. What do you tell them? Because I get it on my end, but I'm not one of you guys, right?
Yeah.
So I probably get a guarded message, or they're probably manipulating the questions or the answers a little bit that they share with me. But I'm so interested to know what it's like on your end when you get advisors that call you and are in one of those 2 boats. Like,
I think it's pretty easy to get to like the B- level, right? I think you could get to the B- going from bad to B- pretty quickly if you're willing to put in a little bit of work and choose something that you're comfortable with, whether it be video and kind of walking through the Q&A and who you help and how you do it, or the written through the newsletter and just letting people know that you're accepting new clients. And if people, that have questions, if they're important to you, they're important to us, you can get to a B- level. Now, if to get to the things that you're doing and helping me with, the A level, that's going to take considerable time, skill, and talent. And you're generally going to have to pay for that, either to hire someone like you or through years of figuring it out. I would suggest that people spend some money if they want to get to the A level of hiring you or someone like you, because most people don't have 10, 15 years to get to the point where you're at.
how often do you have the raw conversation with your contemporaries, meaning other advisors are calling you, asking you, picking your brain? Like, be real with me. How, like, do you do you soften the blow for them when you tell them this stuff? Or are you like, Johnny, like straight up, like your stuff's no good. And like, this is the hard truth.
Yeah. So I used to speak to a lot more advisors than I do today. I just don't have the capacity to do that. And I've tried to be very intentional over the last 2 years of who I let into my circle.
Music to my ears, by the way.
Yeah, you just can't help them all. But yeah, for the vast majority of people, it's a pretty short conversation. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I'm here to tell you the truth, and what you're doing is not good enough. I completely understand why nobody's picking up the phone and calling you.
How's the response to that?
Well, they generally don't like it too much. They hem and haw and make a few excuses. And, I just try to be really honest with them. Hey, you called me asking for my insights. And I promise you that what you're doing is not good enough and it won't work. And you're probably wasting your time. If you want to make changes, I can suggest some things to you, but what you're doing won't work. Posting more bad stuff won't make it work.
Have you seen advisors who've jumped off the phone with you heed the advice and turn it around?
From a marketing perspective, no. I've seen some people take some baby steps, some half steps. But I mean, it's really hard without somebody holding you accountable. It's really hard, I think, to get to the point where Know My Plan is at without partnering with somebody like you. Like, I think it's just really hard to get past like a B.
I hate making this a commercial about me. It's more like, and I'm being serious. I appreciate the flowers you're throwing. It's more about like,
you need some outside, what someone like you provides other than true artistry on your graphics and things like that, because I love your vibe, and that could be somewhat of a personal opinion, but I dig your vibe, is that I think it's really helpful to have some outside perspective, which you can never get if you do everything yourself. And financial planning is no different. The reason that why I can be completely objective about your financial plan is the fact that it's your financial plan and it's not my financial plan. I myself would be the first one to admit that it's very hard for me to be objective about my own money because it's my money and I need outside perspective to give me counsel. So I think that is one of the benefits of working with an expert is you get outside perspective that you cannot get from the inside.
And there's kind of nothing more refreshing than someone you know and trust politely telling you, like, calling your bullshit.
Absolutely. That's great.
It's just, it doesn't feel good maybe in the moment, but when you're 2 hours later, like in your own head, you're like, you knew it was true the whole time.
You always respect the coach that's willing to coach you, right? You don't think as highly about the coaches that kind of quit on you or mailed it in, but you thinking back about it, like as a kid, you now as an adult, you love the coaches that grinded you.
Yeah.
Held you accountable.
Absolutely.
Saw that you were better than what you were putting out. That's what real coaching is. And it's holding you to a higher standard. And you just have to get that from the outside. I don't think you can ever reach the apex of what you're capable of, keeping everything internally.
I hope my kids appreciate that in parenting 20 years.
Right. It's what we all try to do, but it's also why we all know it, especially with coaching our kids in sports. If it comes from someone outside the family, it hits different. And that's why I think sometimes, while it is wonderful to be able to coach your children if someone chooses to, it's also such a huge blessing to have somebody else who can come along and coach the children.
Oh, dude, you're just taking me back. Like, there's nothing better than when in school and school sports, you made the coach proud that you respected that person, but like they weren't related to you at all, but they were proud of you. That was nothing better.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So just keeping it on this for a minute, part of the reason I ask a lot of this is you have a lot of influence, or you're just, don't get a big head on me here, but you're fairly well known in the advisor community, right? You were one of the early folks who kind of put yourself out there. You were very well known for your kind of basic sketches that outlined a lot of financial concepts and things that caught people's attention, both clients and advisors. So many folks come to me and they've been seeing you for 5-6 years. And they're like, I want what Nic's doing. What's Nic doing? Can you tell me about what Nic's doing? He's doing this, he's doing that. How do I get to where he's at? And I always, it's a painful question they ask me because The answer is simple but hard. And every single time I give it to them, it's like a 99.8% like, well, maybe I could just do a piece of that.
Right.
And then it's deflating because then I'm like, I don't want to be harsh, but I'm like, well, why'd you ask?
Yeah, it's like you go to the doctor and you say, I want to get healthy. And the doctor says, well, you gotta start working out. You got to get the strength training in. You got to eat healthy. You're going to have to double your protein and reduce your carbs. And, oh, by the way, you got to start walking 10,000 steps a day. That's what you got to do and it'll work. And then you leave there and you say, you know what? I'm going to cut my carbs in half. You're not getting there.
Yeah.
Right. You're not getting there.
I'm going to stop at Chick-fil-A on the way to the...
I'm no longer going to eat the bun on the hamburger. That's it. Everything else stays the same. And I also think of that proverb that talks about you can never step in the same river twice because the river is ever flowing, right? If you try to duplicate my path, my process, you would be stepping into a different path. You can't replicate the process that I've gone down because it's ever moving. Everything has changed, and I have tried to ebb and flow with all of the changes that have taken place. The things that caught people's attention in 2021, when you look back at them today, are so bad they would be laughed and would get no engagement today. Like I've looked at them. They're not good enough. But this was 4 years ago, 5 years ago, and you could get away with that stuff, those messages. It's not going to...
I don't think it was getting away with. That was where the game was.
Yeah. But it's evolved, right? The river has flowed.
Correct.
And so you have to evolve with it. I think the better question is 2025, I haven't done much marketing or haven't had much success in marketing. I want to be successful. Where do I start today? Doesn't matter what I've done. What they're capable of or the path that they need to go down might have some similarities. There might be similar things that they should be doing that I'm doing, but they've got to walk their own path that's uniquely served to the people that they serve.
Don't disagree. Any other things?
You'd say nobody can be youer than you?
Yeah, look, it's the realist.
Hate to bring the doctor into it.
Anything you have before I get to my next question for you?
No, just let it rip. I don't think I have anything of merit. I have a list of break glass in case of emergency questions, comments, topics, but you just let it rip.
Boy, gone are the days when Nick came with a full sheet of bullet points.
I got some typed. I got some handwritten.
ChatGPT, tell me what to ask Corey if things get quiet.
Yeah. Dear ChatGPT, if I had the opportunity to speak with the greatest financial marketing guru on the planet, what should I ask?
Yeah, let me know when you run into that. All right. It's not news to anyone watching. Things have been choppy. Markets have been volatile. News is changing daily. What are the most common things you're hearing from Main Street right now?
I think it's just variations of two questions. Am I okay? What do I need to do differently? Or should I do anything differently? Those are the two prevailing questions.
Okay. How do you answer those?
Yeah, I think for most people, especially the people who are existing clients as opposed to prospects, is we just reiterate that we've planned for this. And that means for people that are in or near retirement, that nothing that has happened has impacted you in any way from being able to retire or stay retired. And just the way that we go through our process, whatever income is needed from the portfolio, we set aside 5 years worth of that portfolio income in low volatility, short duration fixed income instruments, right? So relatively safe. They're not moving up and down. Right now they're paying 4 to 5%. And so that's the vitamin C that people need. Oh yeah, I remember that. I forgot about that. Yeah. So we've done that. And then we just talk about kind of what the market does historically. People don't always love to hear that, but like, hey, you've been through this, but just a little, history, things to consider. The market drops on average about 15% every year, which is about where we're at now, give or take, peak to trough. And then, about every 5 years, we have that really, really painful 30% or greater drop. And then just think back about all the things, that we've been through, especially people that have been with us for like a decade, right? Those are wonderful people. Like, look at all the things that we've got through together. And as we're recording this, about 2 months from 2 months ago, we were at an all-time high. And I would just encourage, we encourage people to think about that. We don't think that there has been anything that's happened structurally that would change companies' ability to solve tough problems, to innovate, to continue to grow earnings, to grow dividends into the future. Nobody likes everything that's going on. And sometimes capitalism is really, really ugly, really messy. And that means that people get laid off and people may not get raises and dividends might get cut, eliminated, suspended. There's a lot of things that happen that just aren't a lot of fun. And nobody likes the fact to see their accounts are worth a lot less today than they were 2 months ago. And you just have to be really empathetic towards that, but optimistic about the future.
How's it been at Know My Plan? Are you, as far as new conversations, new clients, has it been more or less or a lot of the same?
It's been steady. We always pick up clients during these periods of volatility. So that is nothing new and unexpected. It's kind of right along where I thought it would be, and continue to have more conversations. This past week was probably just a little bit slower due to Easter, and then I was out of town for a couple of days. But other than that, we're wide open, meeting with people. And I think one of the great things of the process that we take people through, we've truly had more people who have called wanting to invest more money, because this is also kind of bonus season for a lot of people too. And they don't know exactly how much they're going to get until it comes in. So, there's a lot of people who do receive bonuses between March 15th and April 30th with the folks that we serve. So from a timing standpoint, we've had many more people reach out to us about, hey, this was my bonus. How much do you think I should invest? I want to add right now. I don't know if this is the bottom, but it sure feels cheaper now than it was 2 months ago. So we've had many more conversations about that than capitulation and fear of the worst.
Well, this is, I always love that feedback and the real time kind of glance at what you have going on in the business. I'll give you some time on the mic here for a little bit just to steer this conversation.
You want me to ask you some good hard hitting questions?
If you have them. If not, then there's no reason.
I did ask ChatGPT what I should be asking you about. So, we don't have to talk about just John Hamm and friends and neighbors. You've seen a lot of top performing, advisors and boutiques over the years. What do you think that they do differently when it comes to marketing that the rest of people overlook or can't get out of their way from finding success?
I don't think many boutiques on the investment side, like teams and investment managers, small mutual fund companies, I don't think I can't think of any that are doing anything exceptionally well from a marketing standpoint, to be honest with you.
If I was a small boutique ETF SMA, man, I would be writing blank checks to get in front of you. I think the storytelling is a huge miss in that world that someone like you could help with.
That was where I was going to go with it, with the folks who are successful, whether, there's plenty of folks who are successful without me, and I don't know if they're working with somebody else or they're doing it on their own, but it's the folks that do tell stories, that share, hey, had this conversation, here's what happened. Recently talked to this person, here's how I handled it. Hey, are you this, and this? Here's something to consider. Here's how I got into this business, Those are the folks who've always had success and will continue to have success. That, because to the point you've always made and that I see and I run into with advisors is, like, tell more stories, share more examples, talk to me about the conversations you're having this week. And like, I'm not having any conversations. That's the problem. That's the rub. It's the same thing I joke about with Major League Baseball. And for those folks who don't know Major League Baseball, this might be outside of your wheelhouse, but teams like the Royals, the Tampa Rays, the Miami Marlins, the Pittsburgh Pirates, they can't get out of their own way because they can't sell enough tickets to pay the players who require the high salaries to put people in the seats to win baseball games. Like, it's a revolt. Like, if you can't generate the conversations with people that help you generate the marketing that attract more people to have more conversations, like, that's when you really need help. That's when you need it the most. Like, I could go away tomorrow and I think Know My Plan is certainly fine. right? You definitely know you were successful before me and you'll be successful after me. And I think the point is like you understand the way the whole thing works. Now, could working with someone like me help? Yes, I'd like to think it does. But the point is like if you're not having the conversations, you're already kind of in a hole because you're like, where do I start? So long-winded, the boutiques and investment managers they're in a, I don't see any of them really crushing at all, other than maybe they're just doing well in their market and they sell on their performance, right? Their Morningstar ratings. Advisors who are successful are the ones sharing the most real life examples, story-based content, connecting with the audience.
I'm going to be selfish and ask a KMP question just because it's my show. If you were in my shoes, what's one story that you would lean into to capture attention and trust? What's something I could lean into more?
I think I would spend probably an hour with me on a platform like this where we talk about, where I ask you questions about certain prospects. Like maybe you feed me a list of this is who's onboarded over the last 18 months.
Yeah.
And I randomly ask you about how would you help 62-year-old Carol and Harry? And I only give you some of the details and maybe I change the names, but I'm playing into something that's already happened to you. And I get you to regurgitate that situation back to me. Now, if I did that with you for an hour, we covered 12 clients, 8 clients. That is 8 videos or 12 shorts or however we chop that up that are going to speak directly to those people and then everyone within 4 years of them. Now,
that's the answer key, man. I completely,
like we would crush, right?
100% agree with that. Yes.
That would just completely crush.
Yeah.
And now we have to do that. So I just added a whole shitload of work to my plate.
That's what I'm here for, Corey.
That's what they're not doing. That's what the folks don't do, right? Like no one's doing it.
I've been thinking about this because the advisor world is so full of cliches and phrases that we don't even realize that we're probably even using. We just think it's part of the things that we have to say, whether it's holistic financial plan or whatever.
Just so you know, nobody knows what that means.
No, I don't even think most advisors know what that. I mean, you have millions, hundreds of thousands of advisors who argue about what does it mean to be a fiduciary or what does it mean to have a holistic financial plan. You could get on LinkedIn for 10 minutes and you could find an ongoing fight about flat fee only, or whatever, commission based. How would you help an advisor or help Know My Plan evolve a core message to help it resonate with their ideal client? I've been thinking about that myself. Like, is our core message still on point where somebody who's my ideal client sees it, it clicks and says, Nick's my guy, versus, man, you know what? I think I like Nick, but that message sounds like 94% of other financial planners.
I think we've done a pretty good job with you specifically in talking to and about who you help. I mean, if you wanted to get more direct, I could say we could go to your website and smash whatever text you have on the header and say, and it probably already says this, but we help high achieving professionals, period.
Right.
I'm sure it says that, but that would be like, you could continuously put out more content or make sure that's on your headers across all social platforms that says that. And maybe you pin videos to the top. Right.
And I did change my LinkedIn little banner thing to say I help high achieving professionals. So I've done that, but I think it's a great reminder that like that core message has to be tight. Like see if sameness is real out there in the financial planner, financial advisor community. You just can't say fiduciary, holistic financial plan.
Anyone who's using that as their billboard is definitely watching or listening to this struggling with marketing. There's no two ways about it. If that's your billboard, you're struggling. I guarantee it.
Scrap it. Start over.
The biggest thing that I'm seeing right now, and I've shared this with you offline, but there's no reason to hide it, is this 15% dip in the market. I asked how advisors were typically paid, and you told me. I've seen a lot of advisors get a little spooked that they've been sitting on the organic growth of their business for the last decade, but specifically 3 or 4 years. So they got a nice pop or they've had a nice run. Their incomes have ballooned, and this 15% scare the shit out of people. And
because you know what else ballooned when the revenue ballooned? Lifestyle.
Expenses. Yeah. There's a lot of new houses and things. And
if you don't believe it, go watch the show Friends and Neighbors.
I'm telling you, man, like I'm seeing I've heard direct from advisors that are feeling pain. And when that happens, then it's like, well, how do I grow the business? We were here, now we're here. I got to get back to here. Well, dude, you should have been out there and we should have been doing this stuff the whole time. Like you've rested on your laurels and your AUM has just kind of gone up. You haven't brought on any new households.
Yeah. You gotta be tracking. I mean, all the social stuff, all the marketing stuff that we do leads to metrics that matter, which is, are we having conversations with new people who are ideal clients who want to pay for the advice and guidance that we solve, right? That's it. Those are the metrics that matter. That's the only thing worth tracking.
Let's give the people some real shit right now. Like by all standards and all things that are out there in social media marketing and marketing in general, you and I are not good marketers. Okay. As far as someone said, share your metrics, show me your views, show me your impressions.
Right.
I'll speak for myself. I would not even come near the medal stand.
Right.
Great. Terrific. Do you know what happens? I literally had a call with someone last Thursday and I'd never heard of this human being. This is a financial advisor who wanted to pay me for my services. We jumped on, we did an hour-long consult, not going to be a full-time client, but it was an hour-long session. And I helped get them kind of up to speed. Tell me a little bit about just give me some insight as to how you found me. Oh, I followed you forever. I saw some of your videos and finally decided today was the day to call.
That's it, man. It's the lurkers.
So guess what? Fine. I'll be a shitty marketer who doesn't have the metrics you have and doesn't have the clout and whatever and the follower count. But those conversations are what drive my business and my lifestyle and allow me and my family to do nice things. And that's how I measure success.
Yeah, I don't care about followers. I don't care about likes. I don't care about comments or reshares or anything like that. Metrics that matter, right?
I get worked up about it. Sorry.
I want to pay. And, another thing too is, I've heard this one from advisors. I have a lot of people reaching out, but they either aren't qualified or they're DIYers who don't want to pay. Well, they're not qualified, right? They have to be people that you can help. They have to be people that want help, and they have to be people that are willing to pay for that help. Like if you're not attracting those people, something's wrong in the message.
100%. You're talking to everybody. And again, marketing yourself to the traditional metrics, not the real metrics.
What do they say? When you talk to everyone, you talk to no one. When you talk to, someone, you get the right ones.
I'll say it right now. I cannot work with Jones advisors. I cannot work with advisors at captive firms. If you've got overly crazy compliance, we cannot work together. There's nothing I can tell you and help you to get out of your way. Now that eliminates 200,000 people from my net, but it's a waste of my time and your money.
Right. And you don't and can't work with 100,000 advisors anyway.
Period.
Right. There's only so many people you can help in the time on this planet that we have. And we have to be super intentional about.
You get me worked up on this stuff. Now I've got another one. Where did this idea, and you tell me as an advisor, where did this idea come from that advisors just pick a niche out of thin air? And if you pick a niche out of thin air, why on God's green earth did you decide you're going to focus on the niche you decided to focus on? How did that even come to be?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who just wing it. Hey, I'm going to focus on doctors because they have a lot of money.
I've got to pause you because they earn a lot of money.
Yeah.
Do you know how, I'm going to try to keep this clean again. Do you know how effing hard it is to get in front of a fucking doctor through social media marketing?
Right. Or you could just go hang out in the lobby of the cafeteria, and what a life that is.
I don't know.
Could you imagine hanging out in the lobby of the cafeteria for 4 hours every day, just hoping that you might have 30 seconds with a doctor that walks by?
I get this all the time from
that's
advisors.
Unbearable.
Tell me about your niche. Oh, I focus on retirees 64 and up. Who you just pray haven't called a financial advisor yet, or you're going to try to get them to transition their assets from their other advisor. Okay. And good luck breaking through Judge Judy.
Yeah.
Fisher's got more money than you can compete with on that one.
Yeah. That's a tough one. I think the niches that work the best are more, it's not a specific profession, not that they can't work unless you have a really good direct tie into that profession due to past experiences or people that
100%.
I have one friend whose father is a doctor. Well, it makes sense for him to work with doctors because his dad tells all of his buddies who were doctors, oh, you got to meet with my son. He's a financial planner. They trust dad. So they immediately have some trust for the son who's, 50 years old now. So things like that make sense. That's just your natural network.
Doctors and nurses totally make sense, but not out of thin air.
Right. And most people are picking out of thin air. We're going to try it. And if it doesn't work, we'll switch.
ChatGPT, what are the most high paid jobs? MDs. Okay. Well,
yeah, I mean, we used to do sales executives, but for whatever reason, no matter how high someone went up the food chain, they never thought that they were like an executive, even if they had executive in their title, because they always viewed that there was someone above them in the corporate.
I don't know how you
chain.
Reconcile that change in your head, but that was one of the things I've been most excited about in this chapter of my career, is having that conversation with you, because I think that was just fun.
Well, you know what I would consider my superpower, Corey, is I think that I'm super coachable with people that I trust. And if you tell me that we're changing it to high achieving professionals because you think it's the best, that's all I need to hear.
Well, I've always gone back to that point. Like, I don't think the VP thinks they're a sales executive until they reach the C-suite.
And then when they're C-suite, they don't think they're an executive until they reach
the chair.
Right. Like, yeah. It's always moving the needle. Oh, I don't view myself as the executive because I'm not here. And they just keep moving it.
The person who just dominated the year and got $100,000 bonus, but they're just a director, does think they're a high achieving professional.
Exactly. And I enjoy working. I would say the vast majority of our new families are like 40-ish with 2 or 3 kids. Like, for whatever reason, it's like super family unit.
Well, it's because that's who that's who you talk to, and that's what the content's generated for. And also, I've heeded your feedback over the years of like, you like those conversations. You like working with no nonsense people that do the homework.
100%. We also told someone recently that wanted to be a client that they can't be a client because he treated his wife like an absolute dog on a Zoom call. And it was like, if this is you putting your best foot forward, ain't going to happen. So
yeah, that's rough.
Yeah. Did our best to help the wife.
like here's a couple lawyers.
So it kind of reached a point where, all right, we've committed this hour to speak with this couple, not working with them. I could tell that in the first 10 minutes, but let me do everything I can to help make sure that she gets her questions answered.
Sir, why did your follow-up include divorce lawyer?
Why are the next steps divorce attorneys?
That's so good.
For women in North Carolina.
So good. Well, look, man, why don't I let you dive into your stuff you really want to talk about?
Man, I'm telling you what, every now and then there's a show that comes along that just captures you, that gets you. And sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time. Mobland, Corey. I'm giving it a 9.8 on a 10-point scale. It is only 4 episodes in as we record this. It is on Prime. I think you have to have the Paramount Plus plug-in. Guy Ritchie produces, directs it. Tom Hardy's in it. Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren. If you guys are out there and you like anything Guy Ritchie, this is a must watch. And I know you're going to wait until it's deeper, right? 4 episodes is not enough for you to jump in.
I love your cheerleading of it. I love that you're so into it.
Comes out on Sundays, so it's a little bit different spin too.
So you look forward to this on Sunday?
Oh, absolutely. I get up early.
Well, you watch it in the morning.
I watch it as soon as I wake up. I actually get up an hour early and watch it before workouts.
Wow. I
can't wait, because every episode so far, they've left it on a cliffhanger. Like, amazing writing to leave it on that big of a cliffhanger. It's just like, wow. In episode 2, the cliffhanger was something right out of the movie Seven with a what's in the box type of moment. And it's just, I think it's incredibly well written, but you have to like Guy Ritchie. Irish Mobster show.
Is this the show of 2025 for you so far?
I have to go back and review the notes to confirm.
It kind of has to be if you're going to go 9.9.
I said 9.8. I'm willing to go 9.9. But yeah, I think it's fantastic. I can't imagine anything that I've seen recently that's any better. Now, I am willing to change my score. I am adaptable. But at this point, through 4 episodes, I love it. Friends and Neighbors, which you recommended on our last time together, I'm up to date on it, really enjoying it. I think there's a lot of financial advisor quirkiness stuff in there that's kind of fun for the financial advisor community. Now it is more, John Hamm is a hedge fund manager technically, but I think you can see the attributes of people within your advisor community.
Yeah, the New York money thing is just, that scene is crazy.
Yeah, I can't relate to that. I don't know anybody. I don't know.
No, but I can relate to, not that I can relate to, but you can understand the Joneses and the stress that those folks live with.
Yeah, even if you divide that by 10 or 100 to get to the level where you're at, you understand the stress that those people live in. I can't tell you, one of the biggest trends I've seen, I'm kind of going back channeling here. One of the biggest trends I've seen over the past year, Corey, is people that are our age who have no margin in their life, right? Great income, but zero margin. All their equity is either in their home, it's in their retirement plan, and they are living paycheck to paycheck.
How do you measure margin? Do you measure it by dollars or do you measure it by time?
Both. I think both. And people have margin in neither, right? They have no extra time whatsoever, nor do they have any extra disposable income.
So when I say time, I mean the spigot turns off tomorrow. How long are you good till it turns back on?
Oh, well, yeah, they have none of that unless you're talking about liquidating retirement assets, which is just a death spiral, at a young age. I was writing about this, and I was actually talking with a friend at the gym about it the other day. We talked a little bit about the last time about the brokerage account. I swear if I would do it all over again, I wouldn't do anything other than the employer match until I had $100,000 in a brokerage account. I don't care about anything else. I need liquidity and access to money because life is tricky. Life can be cruel. It can throw you curveballs. And then maybe I would up it by a percentage or two until I got that brokerage account to 250,000. And then maybe I would go up another percentage or two at 250. And then I would keep grinding until I got that brokerage account to 500. And then maybe go up another percentage or two. Like I would absolutely overweigh the access to money and liquidity over the math. I know all the math encourages people to max out retirement plans, but sometimes life doesn't care about math and you need that money for real stuff. As we talked about last time in a very fair and unbalanced way, sorry, Rita, that sometimes you don't have to sell securities. You can just borrow against them. If you want to know what happens when you borrow against securities, you could watch the movie Margin Call. But man, I think sometimes we get too focused on the math and don't think about what could actually happen before we get to retirement.
I love that. And I mean, that's just a fantastic commercial for you and your business. And the reason I say that is because I think you guys look at things in a real human-centric, this is literally the way it works way, instead of, I'll never forget that time we were on a group call, you were on it with me, and you heard an advisor's advice and they uttered the phrase good enough. And you literally like glitched and freaked out. And, professionally, but like, that's what so many people are getting. And I think that's such a shame, is they're getting good enough. And I don't think good enough cuts it.
Yeah. I mean, I think I had a conversation with that advisor recently in the past month. And I said, I'm telling you, you're helping me out, just so you know that. I said, well, what do you mean? I was like, well, once your clients get fed up with good enough, they'll become my clients. And they're going to see what I do and how we do it. And they're going to be so much thankful that they're KMP clients. So you're making my job easier.
It's just a shame, because I think that happens probably dozens, hundreds, thousands of times every day throughout this country.
In all industries, right?
Sure, but the shaving off the bottom line for something that you don't even need to pay for because it's good enough is unfortunate. You got
to be really careful who's in your circle, right? You don't want C players in your circle. What does Nick Saban say? Like, there's not a lot of options. When you're trying to do the things that we're trying to do and get to the place where we're trying to get, like, there's really not a lot of options. It takes what it takes. You can't have people cutting corners and doing things halfway.
I love that, because that feeds into the like, well, I can't quite do it at that level. So what else? I'm like, kind of nothing else.
That's it.
Yeah.
it is what it is. It either, if you want to be an A player, like this is the checklist. These are the things that you got to do.
You're down 3. There's 3 seconds left. It's a 3 or nothing.
Yeah. There's no plan B. This is not rock and jock MTV basketball where they have the 8 ball. Remember the 8 ball from our youth?
100%.
They had the 25-foot goal and the black 8 ball basketball. You try to get the 25-point shot.
Yeah, there's no lottery for you to win this thing.
Speaking of lottery, if the 76ers get the first pick in the NBA draft, are you okay with them going Cooper Flag?
Obviously, because like everyone says that's the thing. It's just Sixers have had such bad luck at number 1 anyways. God, who knows? Like,
just trade the pick.
Could you imagine? Yeah, just give it to Boston.
I'm sure they will anyways, right? So, directly or indirectly.
Pritchard for the number 1 pick. Great. Let me live in my misery.
Maybe they'll throw in Al Horford and bring him back to Philly.
I'm going on the record of saying that front office is a disaster. I love my Sixers, but that front office is a complete disaster.
Yeah, please tell me why you decided to bring back Joel Embiid and give him a max contract when he can barely walk.
Like the guy can't even move. Like that was smart.
He's going to just be going around town or going around the locker room on one of those motorized rascals.
And it just infuriates everybody. So the whole thing is just ridiculous. Don't even. Yeah, this has been fun, man. This has been a good conversation. What's that?
Yabusele's a nice pickup.
They won't re-sign him. Watch. He's going to Boston too.
76ers can't have nice things. What are we talking about?
Yes.
So Tyrese Maxey he's like supposedly like the nicest guy ever. Does he just raise his hand and say like, "Hey guys, can you trade me?"
He's like the most awesome human of all time, and eventually he's just going to be like, "I can't anymore."
Right.
I've tried.
Yeah.
The Sixers are more into like playing GM than they are winning basketball games.
Danny Ainge already has a plan probably to trade for Tyrese Maxey.
Yeah, the manipulation's already started.
How can the 76ers get rid of the one asset they actually have?
Yeah. Well, all right, fine. We'll give you Maxey and the draft pick, which they might lose.
Oh, there's a chance with some sort of combination that they could lose their first round pick?
Dude, if it falls 6 or lower, it goes to Oklahoma City.
Sounds right.
Or 7 or lower.
Sounds right.
Because of Al Horford.
Wow.
Oklahoma took him on for the 1 season, and that was the deal.
Yeah, I do think that the 76ers should just probably fire everyone and just bring us on.
It's clean start. Like, you have to fire the whole crew, all of them.
Do you keep Nurse, or is he done too?
All of them. Every
association.
It can't get worse. They won 19 games.
Oh, that's unbelievable. Corey, episode 32, Magic Johnson, if you will. It's in the books.
I love it, man. This has been fun. Let's continue the conversation. Thank you everybody for listening. And if you are True Classics and debating our sponsorship, please consider. We're here.
We're affordable. Yeah. All right, Corey. Have a great one, brother.
Talk soon.